Hi everyone, Gatesy from Forge from Iron. I've got sitting with me a very special guest. Baz, how are you doing?
Good, mate. I'm not sat with you though. Don't let people start talking about
No,
that.
no. You're
you know
you're
what?
not in the same building.
You know what?
Honest,
Someone like
Boris.
I'm in a bubble here ahead of work tomorrow, and someone would love to report me for saying or the other if they could. I'm not with you.
No. He's
I'm
definitely a
delighted.
different.
I'm delighted to have been invited onto your show. I am delighted.
No, and we're delighted to have you, mate. Honestly, I really do appreciate you giving up your time. So, uh, I've obviously got you here for a specific reason. The tier list, but I've also got you here for another reason. I will let you take over here, my friend.
Okay, so obviously you've invited me on for, as you say, your selections, but you wanted me to put out regarding Isla. I've been part of fundraising for Isla now for coming up 4 years, I suppose. She's been fighting for 4 years, neuroblastoma. She's been in a good space. She's had her tough times. It's not great at the moment. It's better than it was the last couple of weeks. She's back home now, which is good. Needs to get her blood levels up high again so she can have a bit more stability. Once she's got that, they will then consider her travelling abroad, which is what she needs to do to go and have treatment, which is why we're fundraising again, because obviously treatment in the UK is paid for. It's not paid for when we go abroad, and that's where she desperately needs to be for the neuroblastoma trials. There are no trials about in the UK because of the cost of them. So they're all, and obviously they're not funded, so they're all abroad, which don't come at a cheap cost. I am part of Isla's army, along with Frankie. The pair of us brought Isla's army to light. I don't think people have quite understood what it's for. I still think people think Isla's army is about Frankie and I, and it's not. It's about Isla's army. So it's about each and every single person that's got anything to do, fundraising or anything like that. They can have access to that account. There's nothing to be hidden. If you want the password and the email, you're welcome. Sorry, password and address. You're welcome to go on and put all your fundraising out through there. So Isla's army becomes bigger. And the day we need to say, oh, we need to get 50 grand, if we've got 50,000 followers, it's only £1 each. Whereas if it's me doing it from my own with 3,000 followers, or Roger, for example, who's on the banner here, from his own does it and he's got 5,000-6,000, you know, you're asking a lot. You're asking for more than £1 each. You're asking for £10 each. So the idea of Isla's army is to build it up so it's all generated through there. We don't want to take over Isla's fight. Isla's fight is Isla's main page. All the main information and important information should come out of there. But we want to be that backing, and we need to create that backing that's there for Isla's fight to fall back on. And it's not down to me individually. It's not down to Frankie individually. It's not down to Roger individually, ex-employee, anybody who's doing a fundraiser. It's down to us being Isla's army collectively. And that's what Isla's army is all about. And sadly, I still think a few people are thinking it's more about Frankie or about me. And it's honestly not. And that's so far from the truth. If we can get it to be for Isla's army and everybody together, then we'll be really happy. But the links are on your screen now for Isla's army, Isla's fight, the PayPal link, the Just Giving link for Isla's army. There is the hashtag for £1 for Isla, which we done in February. And we ended up raising 25 or just under 26,000, I believe it was, for the month of Feb, which included that day. We won't be doing that every single month because that's not fair. It will probably be every 2 months. And we will try and stick to it being £1 a day. We can't tell people how much to donate, but we ain't asking for more than £1. We don't ever expect to hit them figures. That just blew our minds hitting that. That was incredible. I think the support will still be there, and I think we'll still do very good. But if we've got an account that's got 10, 15, 20,000 on it, and we all give £1, there's another 20 grand. So that's why it's important to build up Isla's army.
Yeah, I mean, I did a little piece from my van on the day that you did the Pound for Isla fundraiser, and I just sort of said, you know, look, there's, I know we're not going at the minute, but 54,000 season ticket holders, I believe we've got. And all it takes is if every single one of us gave £1, and £1 is nothing, you know, in the grand scheme of things to us as an individual. But £54,000 to Isla and her family, my God.
And you know what I've said before, I obviously collected home and away, and I use home games, for example, like you've just said. I'll be there with a bucket. I won't be the only one. There'll be other collectors, but you know, it baffles me because I probably used to get about £800 on average at a home game in my bucket. But that's people coming up putting £20, £50, £100, some people. Then there'll be a lot of change. And listen, every donation is massive. If it's a penny, it's a penny more than she's got. And we respect every single donation. But it's just like you said, I'm shocked we don't ever, because collectively, with Isla's collectors too, we'd probably only have £2,500 between all of us, like that's 7 or 8 buckets. There is 54,000 people there. You know, away fans come and donate to me and to us, you know. So there's 64, 57, 60,000 in the ground. And not rude to not even get £6,000. I think, wow, you know, it's like 10%. That surely ain't that hard. But we don't do it. We don't get it. And we're very, very grateful for what we do because, as I say, the £800 I get plays a massive part in her fight. And she's still here fighting now for them reasons and the people that come up to us at grounds and donate.
Yeah, well, as I say, I as we spoke before I hit the record button, I've got a little bit of a personal involvement because I've got a friend, and the reason why I wanted you to come on today, as we discussed, and I didn't realise this until very early this morning. My friend Warren lost his daughter to neuroblastoma 6 years ago today. I would just like to share this, and I have got Warren's blessing on this. I did ask him, and he said it was fine. So if any of you are wondering why we're doing this, this is a Facebook post from my friend Warren, who lost his daughter 6 years ago today. Today has to be the worst day of the year for me, but at the same time, I'm filled. Hang on, it's just gone off. Do apologise, technology. Start again. Today has to be the worst day of the year for me, but at the same time, I am filled with inspiration. If it wasn't for an amazing family and great friends, it would be a billion times worse. I cannot believe that today, 6 years ago, after fighting for 6 long years, Stacey, our daughter, Jake's sister, aged 9, passed away. 6 years. Where has that time gone? At 06:28 hours, she was gone. With a smile on her face, my warrior princess released from her journey. A journey I'm convinced was to not be tough on us all, but to teach us new ways of life and to build us all on a new journey to follow. I really don't know how I drove my car the 60-minute journey from the hospital to the funeral directors, knowing that my princess was in that black van in front that day. Haunts me daily and has broken our hearts forever. Neuroblastoma really does exist. Neuroblastoma really does take more lives quicker than any other cancer. Neuroblastoma is the rarest children's cancer there is. Neuroblastoma has minimal funding into research. Neuroblastoma, in some eyes, is ignored. Neuroblastoma isn't a moneymaker for pharmaceutical companies. Neuroblastoma really does take children's lives. Stacey fought her journey like I have never seen. People say, yeah, kids are so resilient. Have you seen a child going through this? I would reply. Let me take you to the hospital. They would say. But a few of you did and were shocked at what they saw. Stacey would smile no matter what. If she was screaming, throwing things, slapping, locking herself away because she was fed up with needles, scan tunnels, and everything else that was going with trying to find a cure. But she would still find a smile or a chuckle when she did it. And apart from all that, she was the first one going over to another child in the hospital, holding their hand and guiding them through having nose tubes or cannulas fitted. And that's why we kept her promise to keep her legacy alive by doing things for children like Stacey used to do with others, creating smiles and memories. So please, if you do nothing else today, remember that smile you brought to Stacey, how you made her journey and ours so much more easier just by being there. So let's continue to do this together and keep that legacy going by giving these children something to look forward to. Help us give these families what we never had. It's so important. If you can spare a few quid, the links and the photos are below. I am going to include these links in the description when the video goes out, as well as yours, Baz. But for anybody that's watching, if that doesn't prompt you watching to do something, and even if it's as simple as you can't, if you seriously can't give £1, and all you can do is share this and just get a little bit of awareness out there, then that is a help. That is a massive, massive help.
Yeah, I've said the same. The story is so sad and touching. I've witnessed Isla having the treatment. I've witnessed Isla fighting in hospital bed in a ward where the other kids. I'm not saying they was all the same cases of neuroblastoma, but a lot of them were. And I've been to the hospitals in Barcelona with Nicola, where Isla's gone for her scans, and parents have come back with their children that have been over to the States for the vaccine with the kids that have progressed and doing better. But I've also been there with parents that have lost their children, like your friend Warren. And it is so sad. There's never a right age, never. But there's certainly a wrong age. And them wrong ages are them young kids should not go through what they go through. And I can only speak on behalf of Isla because that's a story close to me, and I've known it for 3-4 years now. And I know that girl in the 6 years of her living life has just fought for 4 years daily, to the point it was only 3-4 months ago she broke a bone. Well, they found out she had a broken bone in the back of her knee that she didn't even know about. She just walked along every day, normally dragging her leg. And that's the pain levels that kid goes through daily. So, we watch football. We're football fans. We watch a player get a tackle on the ankle, not broken at all. Just gets a boot on the ankle with a bit of force, and they're being subbed off and out for 6 weeks. And that's no disrespect to any footballers either, by the way.
No.
But that's the level of what
Puts
these
it in
kids
context.
go through. Yeah, it does for me, and I just find it's just so sad. And that's why when the story came about of Isla, at the time, I had a social media platform that was quite good, had a following, and I needed to use it to her, not to my advantage, to her advantage. I'm not going to lie, I've met some great people for it, but I've not done it for them reasons.
No.
I can sit here proudly now and say I've managed, with everything I've done and been involved in, to raise over 300 grand for that girl. I'm proud of that. And this is with respect to the people I've met. I couldn't care if I never spoke to them again. When I say that, I mean as in celebrities that have reached out and helped. And again, it's not personal, but if they never text me again, I wouldn't care.
No.
What I do care about is I raised that funds for that girl that's still here now fighting for her life. And I'll continue to until I'm told by Nicola or Michael, we don't need you no more. She's okay now. And that's when I'll stop.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that day is drawing closer, Baz. I really do mean that. I hope to God that they can find something, and not just for Isla, but for every other child that follows that has to go through this battle, and every other family that is dragged along in their wake. I mean, I'm a father of 3, and it's just, I couldn't even go there, mate.
And just touching on it as well, because some people don't realise the money that's in a Just Giving page for Isla. Like you look at her main Just Giving, and there's I think it's 580,000 of 600,000 raised. Ignore that 600,000. That's irrelevant. You have to put a figure in. Believe me, when we get to 600,000, if we could change it to 1.2 million, we would. There's no figure. You cannot raise enough. The more you raise, the better. Out of the 580,000 that's shown on that page, there's probably 150 available. The rest has been used. That's how serious and how expensive that the costs are for this. So when you look at it and you think there's enough money, there's never enough. And I promise you this as well. Again, the day Isla don't need no more treatment, whatever's left in there will go to help other kids. And there's no truer saying. We found it out as West Ham fans. Cancer has no colours. I've had supporters from many clubs reach out to me, and whatever's left on Isla's Just Giving page, the day she doesn't need it no more, will go to some other child, and it wouldn't matter what colour that child, family, or shit, the child war or family war. Together, we're stronger, and that's what we should do: is support each other.
Completely agree, mate. I'm 100% with you on that, no doubt about it. So,
but people just need to know that them figures you read aren't they're not accurate. Yeah,
Well, a
they're
lot
not.
of the money's already been spent, hasn't it? That's
That's
the
right.
thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and
so
then again, there's never enough because everything right now, as you said, and I said earlier, it's a trial. No, and these aren't cures; they're trials, and no one knows until such time comes when they say this is the right one, and that's where we're at. Then, but for now, everything's a trial. So you could want 200 grand, and that could get you 6-7 rounds, but it might not work. So you'd need another 200 grand. So just be assured, no money can. If you can give, do it and spread it. If you can't, just spread the word because the awareness is huge, and that's for every child. And I'm only obviously talking on behalf of Isla, but that's for every child. That's where my priority is, and I respect everybody else who has their own fundraising for who they do it for.
Yeah, absolutely, Baz. Absolutely. Okay, so moving to the main subject. Well, no, it's not the main subject. The main subject is Isla, period. This is a sideshow, what we're going on here. So, Baz, you know the drill. Did it before the I hit record. So basically, we've got the full squad there. Pretty much, I've dropped out any sort of youth team players because obviously time constraints. We'll just go straight in. We've got long-term future 3 seasons plus 1 or 2 seasons. Not sure. See ya. So this is if Baz Cox was in David Moyes' shoes when the season ends and going into next season. So we've got them in alphabetical order, although there's one that I'm going to save till last. So we'll start here. Felipe Anderson. What are your thoughts on him, mate?
I would get him back and give him a season or two. The way that, well, 1 season for sure. The way David Moyes has got the others working and playing correctly. I don't think you'd watch David Moyes put Felipe Anderson at left midfield and expose him like Pellegrini done. And I think that's a big thing with him. And I think Anderson had his confidence smashed a bit. So I think David Moyes would be the right man to put his arm around him and say, go and express yourself. This is your role. This is your best position. Get a bit of confidence. And you could see a complete and utter different Felipe Anderson. If he ain't prepared to put the graft in after a year, then get him gone. But I would personally give him another year.
That's fair enough, mate. No problem at all. So next one on the list, Michail Antonio.
He's got to stay because we've got nothing else. And it's not that I want him to leave, but he's here for long term. The way the man runs himself into the ground for the club, I find superb. I do worry that we haven't got a replacement for him. I definitely think we need that, but he's definitely someone you've got to have in and around the side. But sadly, his injury record speaks for itself, and that's why we won't have him for 38 games a season, every season for a long period, and that's why we do need someone else too.
Definitely need another striker in the summer. I think that's fairly plain to see. Next player on the list, Fabian Balbuena.
I'd keep him. I like him. I thought up until Ogbonner after last season, I thought he was probably the best defender at the club. He wouldn't be going for me. I like him. I think we've got 4 good centre backs: him, Diop, Dawson, and Ogbonner. I think that's 4 good centre backs there, and I wouldn't want to see him go.
So long-term future for you, Baz, or 1 or 2 seasons?
I'd keep him. Yeah, I wouldn't even think about getting rid of him.
So long-term future.
Yeah.
Cool. No worries. Okay. Next on the hit list is Saeed Benrahma.
Another one I'd keep, seeing as he's just signed, he'd be here for long term. I don't understand why he's in and out so much, but I do understand that when you've got Lingard coming in, and I'd rather see him more central than wasted out wide. Sorry, but he's definitely one I'd keep long term.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of baffled that he's getting a lack of minutes, same as you. Jared Bowen.
I think he's been fantastic since he signed again. Someone I'd keep for long term. I think he's gone off his game a bit of late, if I'm honest. I think he could start. He needs to get a bit of confidence again. Beforehand, he'd get the ball and it looked like he's always going to create something. Whereas now, he gets the ball and he seems to a bit nervy and worried, I think, every time he gets into a position, and he wants to cut back rather than do what he was doing before and be direct and make good chances. So I want to see Bowen of 4 months ago that was confident on the ball, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But he's definitely one of the
Yeah, playing devil's advocate, because there was something that come out, wasn't there, a couple of weeks back that said he's been playing with some underlying medical health issue, whatever it was. So playing devil's advocate, you have to ask yourself the question: how much has that played a part in it? In fairness to him, but yeah, no, I think he's a good player himself.
I make you right on that. I do. I don't make you wrong. The only thing I'm going to say, if that's the case, then he shouldn't be in the squad. If his head ain't right and he's mentally not right for it, then he shouldn't be in the squad. That's not fair on him either. So the manager would be wrong for that.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. So I think you can have that both ways. He's obviously said he's okay. And if he ain't, which is what we're saying, we're seeing he ain't, then the manager should be held responsible, in my opinion. And listen, I'm a fan of David Moyes. I am a fan. I think he's done a fantastic job, no doubt about that. But I still think he can't be unquestionable, is how I'm going to put it. And I think some people do see that with him. I don't think a lot allow him to take any criticism for the fact we're 6th in the league at the moment and doing well, to be fair. But people don't seem to want to allow any criticism to come to him. And if that with Jared Bowen is one, for me, that's his fault. If the player said I'm all right and performing like that once or twice should be enough. You shouldn't keep repeating the mistakes. And sadly, I think Bowen is doing that at the moment. Yeah. But that's not to say I want him out of the club, not at all. But we've got enough players in that squad and then positions to be able to fill them roles now.
Yep. Good shout. Good shout. Next one, Vladimir Coufal.
Build a statue. It's been superb, really. And I'll be fair, I've been a critic, mate. Because not a critic. When we signed him, that debut at Leicester, I thought was faultless. After that, I think sides worked him out or worked West Ham out and found out with him at wing back, you could get in behind him, and his pace wasn't the best. Now, that's understandable. Not everyone has a lot of pace, but I think we was getting exposed down the right for that reason. Like Manchester United at home, worked out. You got a ball in behind West Ham, behind their right wing back, you was going to get chances to score, and they did, and that's what turned that game. Right back, I think he's faultless. I think his energy levels are great, getting up and down the pitch, defending superb. And I prefer him at right back than right wing back. When he linked up with Ryan Fredericks, I thought they were superb. I like the way they work together. And for me, he's a top player. And it just goes to prove it don't matter how much your price tag is. If you can give it all, your all every single game, they're the comebacks you get from the crowds and the fans. And I can't wait for the day for him to realise what West Ham fans are all about because we know what we can be like on our day, and showing players the support and love that we do have for him. I think he'll be one straight away, to be honest.
Yeah, and I've got to be honest, that's something that's wound me up majorly. TalkSport and other sort of media platforms with this nonsense being trotted out that maybe West Ham are doing well because the fans aren't in the stadium. I'm sorry, that's a complete. I'm not going to swear, but that's nonsense.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think TalkSport also said West Ham fans were in uproar when he signed because he was so cheap. But this is the same TalkSport that Jim White was boasting to me that West Ham, David Sullivan had told him that he had bid for James Tarkowski at Bournemouth, that he had bid for Fofana, big money. Well, that's fine, but you're bidding big money away from the real target. You're still nowhere near it, and that's why you didn't end up getting the players, and that's why he's still playing for Burnley and why mate he signed for Leicester, because your offers were still short of what the asking price was by a long way. So don't boast about that and saying how they put 20 million in to save the club and then make up stories like West Ham fans are moaning he was only £5 million. That's rubbish. We'd take free transfers all day if you wear our shirt and you give us our all.
That's all we want. That's all we want as West Ham fans. We want someone that's going to wear the shirt with pride.
Yeah, and I say this all the time. People say to me, who do you think we should buy in the summer? What's a good budget? I wouldn't care if the budget was zero. If that manager got the players that he wanted and they all come in and gave their all for West Ham, I wouldn't care how much they cost. I wouldn't care who they were. Me picking the players irrelevant. Might not fit the manager's plans. Don't matter who I want West Ham to sign. I want West Ham to sign Messi and Ronaldo. They're their best. But that's what I want. You know, I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
But it ain't going to happen. So it's irrelevant me saying who I think we should buy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you, mate. Completely agree. Next one on the hit list, Aaron Cresswell.
I love him, mate. I love him. I think, now I'm going to sound stupid here because of Anderson. I do think Cresswell's form dipped. I think that, I do.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it had to do with the fact Felipe Anderson was also in front of him and made him look worse and exposed him.
Yeah.
And I put that down to bad managing. I've never thought Aaron Cresswell has been as poor as what people have made out. Never thought that. I thought his form dipped. I don't doubt that. But I don't think he's ever been as bad as what people said. And how he's been questioned before, I'll never know. Never. So he's here for till he retires, in my opinion.
So he's in the long-term future category.
Yeah.
Cool. No worries. He's in. Craig Dawson. Now, I appreciate he's not our player technically, but assuming we fork out £3 million, which I think for me is an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah, he's been super.
Where would you put him? Oh, he's magnificent.
He has been great. With respect to him, I don't even know how old he is, but he looks quite old. And I'd probably only have him on 1 or 2 seasons.
Yep.
But that's not to say he's and think of that. With respect to Cresswell, it'd be the same. But it's going to be more 2 seasons than 1. And this is going to sound stupid because I've done it with Balbuena and all. Can you alter these or not?
Of course you can. You can do what you want, mate. Not a problem. You tell me.
Balbuena would go into the 1 or 2, but that's not to say that I want him gone. Anderson is like a last chance. You've got 1 year to prove yourself. Yep. Dawson, I'd be quite happy to be here for another 2 seasons. But you've really got to consider replacing him then. If Anderson comes back at the end of the season and is pony for 3 months, get him gone.
Yeah,
that's what I mean by them. So Dawson, same with Balbuena. I'd be more than happy if he was here for the next 2 years as cover, but we do need to replace, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And we could use that argument. I don't know, what's Cress? Cress is 30 now, isn't he? We could use that argument.
Next birthday, yeah.
We could use that argument with him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, completely
you could probably use it with them all. I think Antonio's 30, isn't he? Soufal looks quite old, but they're not playing. Oh, was he? He had every paper around, didn't he? But they're just players for me that I don't want to think about them leaving, but certainly a good 2 years. Maybe leave that as it is like that, to be fair.
Yeah. No, that's cool, mate. No problem. Next one's a bit of a polarizing figure, I find. He's a bit of a Marmite character for some people, I find. You either love him or you hate him. Issa Diop.
I like him. I do like Diop. I think it's tough for him. And I think he's another one who probably plays on confidence. And it's tough. It is tough. But again, I wouldn't want to see him go, but I want to see Issa Diop that we remember from probably 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago. Or
season. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I want to remember. I don't want to remember Issa Diop who we're talking about making mistakes and things like that. But maybe that comes with playing. He hasn't been starting, so playing more will only help in time, I would have thought. And that's how you get your confidence. So he ain't one I want to see leave. And if he gets to the level that we know of, I'd rather him be the one who's stepping in for Dawson in a year, 2 years' time, if he's time, or Balbuena, than trying to find someone else and maybe not having much luck. So there's a reason he was 40 million quid.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'll say. There was or bid 40 million quid.
Well, Jose was interested, wasn't he, when he was at Man United, I believe.
There's a reason for that, and you don't become a 20 million to 40 for no reason.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. So would he be in the long-term future category?
Yeah, long-term for me, yeah.
Now, next one, Lucas Fabianski.
1-2 seasons, and I think we strongly need a new keeper.
Yeah.
I think he's superb. I think he's good, and I think he's been very good for us, but I think we need a new keeper sooner rather than later. That would be another player I'd want to come into the football club this summer, because I don't think we've got a lot behind him, without being rude to Randolph or Martin.
No, I agree.
or Nathan Crott. But I just think with Martin, it was a love story, wasn't it? I suppose.
Yeah.
Randolph seems to be picking up injuries, which tells me, in the nicest way, it's all starting to unravel for him now. I don't know how old he is, but I'm guessing he's coming not
He's
too
34.
far away. Yeah, so that's a bit older. So yeah, it'd be here for one or two seasons for sure. But I'd like us.
Yeah. No, I think that's a fair comment. Pablo Fornals next.
I like him. I do like him a lot. Good grafter. I think he needs a bit of help on his final third decision making. I think that's gone from his game, sadly. But I do like him. Good player, and he grafts so hard. And I think that's why you're seeing it again, like I said a minute ago about Anderson with Cresswell. I think it's why you see more of Cresswell, because he's got that bit of protection that he does. And I'm not saying he makes the tackles and does all the sliding tackles and that, but his awareness, he closes space. He doesn't let balls get into certain areas. You don't often see their left side or their right side, overlap us, because he joins in and he allows Cresswell to follow the runner. So I like Fornals, and he would be here for long term.
Yep. No, I completely agree. I think he's a very key component going forwards.
I think he's a target man and a boo boy and all. And he's the easy one to blame when things don't go right. And what I don't get, and again, I mean this with all respect, he'll give the ball away and he'll be criticised rotten. But if it's Jared Bowen, it's not said. You know, there's talk on, you see it on social media, get him off, blah, blah, blah. When it's Fornals, how's he wearing a West Ham shirt? He's this, he's that. But Jared Bowen does it, and the same things ain't said, which I don't quite understand.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Ryan Fredericks.
I like him, I do. I think, as I said earlier on, the way he played with Kufau on that right, that really encouraged me. And if he can get a bit of luck with injuries, I wouldn't mind seeing him play in that position quite a lot. And I would look to keep him longer than getting rid of him, that's for sure.
So you'd have him in the long-term future category?
Yeah.
Cool, no problem. The next one, Ben Johnson.
I think he's looked really good. I'll be giving him a proper contract and all and having him for long term.
Yeah, I think he's probably been hampered by the fact that, in my opinion, I think he's playing in the wrong position more often than not. I think he's a right fullback, and you're putting him on the left. All right, he can do a job there, but you're putting a square peg in a round hole, and you know.
I agree. I do agree. Problem is with it, do you get rid of him and keep because of Kufau there? I don't know, and that's why it's tough. But I agree with you. I think he's playing in the wrong position too, but he's doing a great job in them positions. This
is where sort of like I might possibly, with respect to you putting Frederick where you put him, I think I might be sort of like one or two. I might have put him in the 1 or 2 seasons bracket if I was doing this.
Yeah.
Because of I'm sort of thinking of maybe opening up a pathway for Ben Johnson down the track to be the first pick as a right fullback, because obviously Sufau's 28. So if he sticks around maybe for another 2-3 years, Ben Johnson can sort of rotate in and around him and learn his trade sort of thing, and then sort of like come through as the first choice right back in years to come. But obviously if Ryan Fredericks is there as well as Sufau, it makes his progression into what I consider to be his strongest position that much more difficult.
Yeah, I get that. I do get that.
So, but he's a long-term project for you, Baz.
Yeah, definitely. I like him a lot. I do like him. Sorry, mate. I've just had a message from work, so I was a bit distracted. Yeah, I do like him a lot, mate. He's one I'd like to keep.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. Manuel Lanzini, Baz.
1-2 seasons. He'll have to improve massively. I don't dislike him, but I don't think we've seen the same Lanzini since his injury. In fact, I'm probably not even sure about him, to be honest, with what we've got. If we was to sign Lingard permanently, I don't know how he'd get in, because he wouldn't get in front of Lingard, Bowen, Fornals, Ben Rama for me. He'd be 5th choice. So, yeah, I'm not not that sure with Lanzini. He needs to improve 60, 70% and be what we used to know. I know his goal against Tottenham, and he does give you that drive, but he just seems so far off of what he was. And for that reason, I'm not convinced. And I ain't been a massive fan of him for a long time, if I'm honest. But again, I think he was one that many fans loved and didn't want to be called out.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. To me, I think that he's, since the injury, he always seems to be maybe half a second behind where he used to be and needs to be to be a Premier League success. You know, that's the dividing line. You know, that half a second, that half a yard is the difference between success and failure a lot of the time. And unfortunately, he's the wrong side of it more often than not of late.
I think you're right, yeah. And that's the big call for me is why I don't think I'd keep him for too much longer if he couldn't prove himself, to be honest.
Yeah. So moving swiftly on, Jesse Lingard.
I'd sign him.
Yeah.
And have him here for a long term if I could. That would be a no-brainer for me. I think he's a top player. And it's nice to see this week with his social media posts, like him and his daughter, and her in the kit, and him in the kit now. You know, it's not been about that since he signed for us at all. He's been all himself, and you look at his page and it's still all Manchester United. And I know it is now, but watching him put pictures out with his daughter in the West Ham kits, it's quite refreshing. It shows me he's happy, and maybe that could be the thing that leads him to sign permanently, which I'd like to think happens.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's been top banana. Absolutely brilliant. David Martin.
It's a love story coming to an end, I think, this season. It'd be time to go. No disrespect. He shouldn't be anywhere near the first team. I don't think he's a good goalkeeper, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I look at his debut at Chelsea. This is not being rude. He's 100 times better than me, don't get me wrong. But I look at his debut at Chelsea. Yes, he kept a clean sheet, but I look at the saves he made, that he fumbled. A good keeper wouldn't fumble them like that. And I'm not sure. I don't think he's great, if I'm perfectly honest with you. And for that reason, he would... I'd see this season, and I'd say thanks in a nice way and show our respect, but he would be gone.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's an unfair comment, Baz. Arthur Masuaku.
Another player. I like the way he works with Cress, and he'd have a long-term future for sure. As long as he's coming back from this injury, ain't going to be dreadful, and it ain't going to make him be a bit shy and not get involved. He would be part of my plans for the future, that's for sure. I think he's a good talent and a great worker.
Now, I've gone in alphabetical order. At this point, I'm going to deviate, and you'll understand why right at the end. So I'm going to go from the other direction. So Andre Yamalenko.
See ya. See ya. I'm not a fan, mate. I'm not a fan at all.
No,
I think the man's got a great talent, but he doesn't do anything for me. I can't believe when we was watching Hilaire up front, fans were calling for him to play there instead. I can't believe it. Yeah, he would be gone. He'd be first gone out of the club. And then that's not saying he's a bad player. I just don't think he's got the pace for the Premier League. I certainly don't think he works hard enough for when he's on the pitch. I think he might for 5 minutes, but not consistently, and he'd be one that would be out the door, especially for the money he's on a week.
Yeah,
worrying, thinking what we pay him a week. Worrying.
Yeah, madness, absolute madness. Thomas Souček.
Yeah, long term, very much so. He's been superb, solid all season. Pops up with the goals as well, which is great. Just got a fantastic engine and just don't stop. That's everything that we want as West Ham fans, I think, in our side. Just someone who will play with their heart and soul and give you everything for the 90 minutes.
Yeah, he's certainly that. Xande Silva.
Don't know nothing about him, mate, if I'm honest. Nothing at all. So for me to make a comment is going to be difficult. I've just got to say, not sure.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Again, I'm the same as you. It's like, how can I make a judgment call on someone I've never seen play a game? So
that's the problem.
But you know, he's out on loan in Greece, and who knows? He might come back. He might get a run. He might not. But yeah, it's one of them.
I look at the players that go out on loan, and it baffles me because we see it with like Nathan Holland, Josh Cullen, all of them. You know, if you're that good and you're going to make a Premier League, and again, I mean this with respect, and you're going to make a Premier League player, you'll be like in the headlines every single week at Oxford. You know, and you'll be the player of the week every single week. You know, and then all of a sudden it won't be Oxford that want to loan you, and for the next season again, it will be the team at the top of the Championship wanting you.
Yeah, like
and that ain't happening. And that's what I mean. And they're the sides that should be wanting them players if they're that good, and West Ham should be looking to give them to, rather than saying, go and have another year at Josh Cullen, for argument's sake, at Charlton, who are mid-table. I know they come up, but like it was only mid-table Championship, blah blah blah. So I think if you're going to make it, you'll go to somewhere like Oxford to start with. Tony Martinez was a prime example as well for me. Done well at the under-23s. All the fans were calling his name, get him playing. He plays an absolutely rubbish. Where's he now?
He's injured again, isn't he? Martinez. Sorry. I'm trying to think now. Where did he go?
He went somewhere. Spain, wasn't it? Yeah, he's out there some. But that's my point. You don't even know. You don't hear of him. Nothing. We still hear that. What's he called? Jordan Hugill scoring for.
Did he go Norwich? Didn't he? Norwich.
Yeah, we still hear that. We still hear that. Perez was scoring for the Spanish club last year. I don't know nothing about Tony Martinez. And again, it's not personal. Not personal at all. But it's just, for me, it's reality. And some players are good enough or ain't good enough. And I don't think some of them have been. But it's horrible to see him leave. I think with Josh Cullen, the thing that wound me up more than anything was the fact we didn't have any other central midfielders apart from the two we're playing now.
Yeah.
And the only two we got, and Mark Noble, who, again, with all respect, is coming towards an end of his career and there's no replacement. You can't sit and tell me, which they did tell us, we had two replacements, which was Mark Noble and Robert Snodgrass. Now, one of them's already left, and if that's the replacement for Rice and Surchek, we've got massive problems. And that's why I couldn't understand the Josh Cullen departure.
And you look at Josh Cullen, he's now the captain of Anderlecht, and who's their manager? Vincent Kompany.
That's it.
Yeah,
I think he's a good player. I do. Yeah. And I'm not saying he's Premier League class, but I think he'd done enough loan spells and learnt the game enough at a good level. Not say good, I don't mean it disrespectfully to Oxford, but not at an Oxford, a League One or League Two. He's done it at League One, then he's gone up to the Championship. And that's my take on him, on that situation.
Nah, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Declan Rice.
Forever. He's got. If you have any ambition whatsoever at the football club, he has to stay. There's no question about it. He's got to be here. Just give him a contract until he decides to never want to play football again.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'd go a step further. I'd make him the highest paid player at the club. Give him a contract that befits his status as the captain, which he is now. And I think I would even, and I've been saying this for a little while, I think I would be in contact with the Moore family, asking them for permission to unretire the number 6 shirt for Declan Rice and Declan Rice only.
Really?
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah. I think I would ask the Moore family, and if the Moore family were cool with it, then I think I would unretire it for him and him only.
The only reason I wouldn't, and this is again respect to Declan Rice, and in fact Declan Rice has told me himself he wouldn't want that, but the reason why I wouldn't is Declan Rice is no different to any other footballer or any other club. He'll have ambition. If West Ham hadn't done this season what we're doing, and we weren't sixth in the league and we repeated last season, I don't even think Declan Rice would be here next year. I'm surprised he's here this season. Very surprised. And that's why I wouldn't take out the number 6 shirt of retirement for someone that could say, no, I'm going in the summer anyway. Let's say West Ham finish 8th or 9th, don't qualify for Europe, and every side in that top 6 who compete for Europe, Champions League and UEFA come forward and say we want to sign Declan Rice. and put in the required amount that West Ham want from him.
Yeah.
You don't. That's why I wouldn't unretire the shirt. If he commits his long-term future, and I mean long-term, and I know again after time it ain't worth the paper it's written on.
No.
If West Ham finished in the top 4 this year and he signed a contract as the highest paid player, a 5-year deal, West Ham showed ambition and started signing proper players, then I'd maybe think about it. But I wouldn't. No, actually, I wouldn't. No, I'd never think about it. To be honest, not for me. I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's just not for me.
It's an opinion, isn't it? You know, it's just me throwing an idea out there, and you know, some people will go, "What a good idea," and some people will turn around and say, "You're talking nonsense." So, not a problem. But who we got next? Winston Reid.
No, again, it's over, innit? The love affair is dead now. He's been superb, he's been a great servant, but all good things come to an end, and that's another thing with Winston Reid. I think it's been very good, but it's time to move on.
Everything has its time.
Yeah.
So, Darren Randolph.
I love him. I get on really, really well with him. Really well. Great guy on and off the pitch. But I said it earlier, I think the injuries he's getting, the muscle strains all the time, their job pays a toll on you after a while, doesn't it? And I think it's taking its toll on him now, sadly. And I don't want to say see ya, but David Martin would go before Darren Randolph. So I'll have Randolph in the not sure, because if we don't sign the keeper this summer, then I want him to be the backup to Fabianski. So, it'd be not sure, but I don't see him having more than a year or 2 with us.
Yeah, no, that's a fair comment, mate. Then the penultimate player, Angelo Ogbonner.
He leads the defence for me, so he'd be part of long term. I know he's getting on a bit, but he'd be my first choice centre back for the next 2 seasons as it stands for sure. So he's one who I don't want to think about leaving. And that's probably what I mean when I look at some of these long-term futures. I don't mean like for 5-6 years, because obviously age, but I don't think we could buy better as a football club within the next year or 2, because I don't think we have the owners to do that and the ambition. So he would be part of my long-term plan as a manager. He wouldn't be someone I want to be cutting out my squad within the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And the way he's been, I'd quite like him to come into the club as a defensive coach as well.
Yeah,
if that was the case.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he learned his trade in Italy, where they know a thing or two about defending, in fairness.
That's what I was going to say. You don't go too far wrong with the Italians defensively, do you?
No, absolutely not. And the last player, I think you can see him, Baz. I've left him till last. The club captain, the legend that is Mark Noble.
Give him a 10-year contract, because his legs are gone anyway, we're told every single week. Just give him a 10-year contract and just let him get kitted up every single week. You always name too many subs anyway, so just put him on the subs bench and just let him keep coming out when he's 60, just walking out in the kit. Keep him there forever. I love him, mate. You won't hear a bad word about him from me. I love him.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets the credit he deserves, and I don't think he'll be appreciated until he does actually retire at the football club. But I think he's role modelling Declan Rice into a great captain if that continues, and if he can commit his future to us.
Yeah,
and I think Rice would have learnt from a great man, and I'm sure over the years Mark maybe had spoken to Billy Bonds, Trevor Brooking, and asked what it's like, what's required to be at West Ham in his early days, and what it requires to captain the club, and that's what they're all learning from.
Yeah. No, I think Mark Noble has earned the right to decide what he wants to do, where he wants to do it. You know, for me, if he wants to stay another season as a player, if he wants to get into coaching, whatever he wants to do at West Ham, as far as I'm concerned, he's earned the right to get that. Simple as that.
Agree.
So,
mm-hmm.
so back we've come to the end, my friend, and I thank you very much for your time. I know you, you're pressed for time and everything else, and as I say, it really is appreciated for you to come on this
No worries.
today. We've still got the banner up. Any last things you want to say to the crowd before we go and about Isla's Army?
No, I want to thank you for having me on and giving me the
Pleasure.
opportunity to talk about Isla and her fight, and as you say, Isla's Army. And please remember, it's not about me. People think this a lot of the time. It's not about me. It's not about anybody at Isla's Army apart from every one of us together. And as I say, there's nothing to hide. If you want the access to it, you can have it. We just obviously got to be respectful, and you've got to treat it the right way. But you can put out there whatever you want. You know, if you're going to be on there and be silly, you ain't welcome. If you can go on there and help spread awareness, need it for your own fundraising. There's a girl, Amber Hillsden, doing I think it's a 10-hour walk or 10.5-hour walk for Isla this month from Essex to St Paul's and back. She's got her Just Giving page. I've said to her if she wants to put it out through there, because there's already 3,000-4,000 followers on that. Do it. It's not all about the money coming directly to us onto Isla's Army Just Giving page or PayPal. You can have your own still, but we just want that platform there for someone who's doing something to jump on it. And then as I said earlier on, if the day comes, you need a quick 20 grand for whatever reason that may be. You know, if there's all them followers on the page, all of a sudden it's only £1 each and it's easy to do, rather than hoping for retweets, begging other people, can you share this? Can you put this out? What have you got? You can auction, raffle. If we're all there in one place, we can make a difference. And again, the day we ain't needed, when it ain't for Isla because she's all better, we can move on, because we've all got an art and we're here to help everyone. And whoever else associated with that page could say, can I go next? My child, my friend, my friend's child, whatever. And we swap it over, and we're always there to help whoever we can. But for now, it's obviously all about Isla's Army.
Yeah. And as I say, I'm 100% behind you, Baz. And if ever there's anything that we, we can do here to help Duke or I or anybody else, we're here. You've got me. You've got me email address and all the rest of it. So anything we can do to support you, mate, we're there.
Thank you so much. And I just want to send my thoughts to your friend Warren and his family today as well. And my thoughts obviously with you.
No, that's much appreciated, mate. And on that note, I'm going to hit end broadcast, guys. Thank you very much for listening to us both. As I say, if you can make a donation, fantastic. If you can share it, get the awareness out there, guys. Thank you very much for listening. Come on, you Irons.